proud. We had the Alumni Association in this building today to show them around. It was really fun because one of them had their cord that they received at Page graduation, and they were really proud of the fact that we gave special attention to Page Academy and updated that. It needed to be done. So it does look great. I'm very proud of it.
Can I ask one question about that? And I
Absolutely.
apologize for asking in
No,
a
it's
form
good.
like this, but it looks wonderful up there. The flagpole's still on the roof. How do you get the roof, the flag?
We probably need to get that down. I
Is
don't
it coming
know.
down?
It's on our list of to-dos.
Okay, cool.
I think Jay
Sorry, Chris.
reached out
I
and
saw
said,
that a while ago and I thought,
yeah.
ooh.
are we going to do a flagpole? And honestly, we said no, just because it becomes a thing that you
I
have
don't know
to
how you
do
get up there and
some-
take care of it.
Right, exactly. So anyway, we'll work on that, Mr. Mullins. Press box and middle school projects are still set to be on time. I understand at Thursday's meeting, Cassidy might get a tour of the press box, so I think it's on our list of
Really?
to-dos. If any of you wanted to join us, we have it on the schedule. So our OAC meeting starts at 3 o'clock, I believe. Not sure of the time, but I can certainly figure out a time to meet at the stadium. It's pretty phenomenal and tall, so I'll leave it at that. First pre-pilot payment for Google is due in July. This will be the first payment and $500,000. It's not on the budget. Cassidy and I are pretty clean about not putting things in the budget that we don't have in hand yet, specifically since we just signed the agreement last month. So that would be the reason for that one. And then I saved the last, really it's not my last bullet in your notes, but it was the last I want to talk about it because Ms. Neidham is here in case you have questions about meal rates. We will be asking for board recommendation for an increase in breakfast and lunch prices next year. There's some backstory to really how much we raise and when we do it. Historically, we've been very conservative about doing that and try really hard to keep it the perspective of lunch, but we are pretty far behind. And when you think about the cost of the program and the things that we know need to get done inside the department, meaning maintenance of equipment, I know you were well aware of grease trap cleanouts that happened this year, so some additional expenses that we know we're going to incur, I think it's important to consider that. And the other thing that I think was helpful is to have the comparison rates of surrounding districts so you can get a feel for what others are doing. Ms. Neidham was great about coming tonight, so in case you had any questions, she's more than happy to answer any of those. So if there are none.
I just want to add one thing about the, that Ms. Durkee didn't want to brag at, but I'll brag on this, the collaboration we have with the city. And Saturday morning, I'm looking out my bedroom window and I see 4 fire trucks at Clyde Boyd. Get a little nervous, but then you realize what they're doing is they're training. Ms. Durkee had allowed them into the building. It's getting ready to come down. They're in there with their fire hoses going. They're in there with their ladders. They're in there tearing walls down, which they don't get that opportunity to train.
Right.
And my response to Ms. Durkee was Clyde Boyd continues to be a place of learning even when
Right.
it's coming its last
True.
days. So,
Richard was
it
convinced
very nice.
they were having a cookout and there were burgers to be had. And he said, there's smoke. And I said, I don't think so. Let's drive around. And they had simulated smoke coming out of the window. I said, see, we can't get a burger today.
I didn't see the smoke, so I just that
There was smoke coming out of the window. Soon, Chris, you might have a kind of a Thursday. So it's coming down fast. It's amazing. You did, I'm sure, but understand you can't just tear one down, especially if it's hooked into other things. And so fire, water, utility, all those things have to be capped. I'm probably saying that wrong. But there's some preparatory work before you can just demolish a building. So
Brent even says he thinks they went inside the other building because it had a cinder block wall. They wanted to practice tearing one of those down.
probably,
So
yeah.
I like it.
On their Facebook and Instagram page, so if you want to see what they're doing, you can go on Sand Springs Fire
Oh, cool.
District or something like that, and they have all the videos and stuff that they've been doing in there, so it's kind of neat.
You never, it's an awesome opportunity and you don't really get a chance to go in and actually real time work in a building that's going to get demolished. So
I just
it's
love
fun.
the partnership that we've got with
Yeah.
our city. So,
Yeah, it
Mike,
works,
thank you for
for sure.
doing that with us. So, please, item number, any questions on resource innovation? Moving on to item number 8, empower families and communities.
So summer, we still continue to work. People ask questions, what do you do in the summer? And we're still trying to enroll people and get budgets done and all of the things. So it was cute. If you get a chance to look at the ECEC Facebook page, Miss Banks held a signing day for our future. It was adorable, and with a pen and everything. They didn't act. It was so good. I don't think they actually wrote her name, and I can't remember exactly how many were inducted into Sand Springs. And they had a big pencil. It was great. It was great. So parents are loving that. Transfer, I need to say this because denials are also underway. So students, parents the students who struggle with behavior attendance are getting some letters now. And right now we've yet to have an appeal request. We still wait. Those will be in July if we do. But incoming transfers, Carrie, how many did you say we have this? 79 opened this morning. As of today, it's not funny, but it's
In or out? In.
Incoming,
Cool.
right. Yeah. Right.
Can any of them run to 40 and 4-2? Or dunk a basketball or? Understand.
We can't really put that question on the
Yeah,
transfer
please.
request. But it's going well, so we're really hot and heavy into like making sure we're ready for next year.
We also, on that same line, we have in our notes today, the number of vacancies in each particular
That's
grade.
correct.
And that 79 fits within those parameters?
That's district-wide, correct? Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You have to remember it's tricky, and I know there's a rule and a law that defines when we have to open up the portal and all that jazz. But what's hard is you really don't have a complete understanding of who's coming back and who's not. And so that's our best educated guess about we know what our capacity is, but the ins and outs, because if we have a move-in in August, but we're at capacity at one of we still have to take them, obviously. So it's a trick, and I think we've done a really good job thus far, done a pretty good job of predicting that.
We don't get notes on the outs, do we?
We don't get notes on the outs unless there's a request for an appeal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when, I haven't seen an application, I'm sorry for the transfer, but do we ask them why they want to transfer in? Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the questions on there, and most of them, it's about our educational programs. Some of them will say, like our athletic programs, but a lot of them are just wanting to have better opportunities.
Do you know what the furthest one away is? I'd be curious to see how far someone would drive every day to come.
Of the ones I looked at today, most of those are, Sepulpa, Tulsa. I feel like we've had transfers as far as Owasso. I could look and tell Sherry to let y'all know. It wouldn't be hard for me to look.
No, I was just curious because I figured it'd be like Manford,
Yeah, we get a lot from
Berry Hill.
Gene?
I feel like we had a Claremore at one point before, and so it is kind of amazing how far people are willing to travel. Technically, you could have a transfer into our virtual academy, I suppose, and so it could be very
Yeah, I was being physical.
Yeah,
Drive
I
here
get you.
every day.
It's not quite 20%.
No, you can ask to transfer all year long. The transfer application for this school year opened today, and then principals have to start accepting or denying on July 1st. That's why we're pushing online registration so much, because if our current students would all complete the paperwork to let us know if they're coming back or not, that gives us a much stronger picture of capacity at each grade level at each site. But our principals are still, they will accept those transfers and then come to Ms. Durkee and say, okay, I need another third grade teacher because I've accepted so many transfers.
And we're happy to do that if we have a physical space, and we want to be able to find a good teacher as well. So it's kind of twofold. And sometimes they come in late, and thus far we've been able to fill the teaching staff. So we'll see. Good questions.
I had the opportunity to visit with the wife of one of our administrators, and they were bragging about our daycare center at the ECEC was one of the perks that they really enjoyed.
So just a note, since you mentioned that, and I think it's a good reach, not really community, but our school community, we sent out the grandparent survey. Goodness, I closed it a week ago, I think. I think we're gonna glean about 8 to 10 additional kids because of grandparents that can use childcare, which is kind of cool. It's been a coup for us. So our capacity will be no, that's not right. Yeah, 60 kids. And we won't reach full capacity probably in August, but we're getting up there with the number of students. So it just turns me into a little Sandite right from the get-go.
There you go.
And I do mean little. Right. Right. And it's reasonable. Yeah. And it's reasonable. Yeah. We just had a checkpoint with our director today, and it's going really well. We figured it out. And so the expansion is going to be a little bit of an additional financial burden because DHS is very specific about what you have to have from down to the toys. I mean, it's very much a big deal. So anyway, very excited about that.
Any further questions related to empowering families and communities? Mr. Could you lead us through the health and safety related issues, please?
Of course, we always put the meeting agenda so you can peruse through those to see what we talk about at our monthlies. Probably the biggest news is one of the resource officers at the state level was defunded. So you need to know that. Like that, I think, is an important piece for us because we hire 3 of them. This one piece of funding we're losing paid for a full officer, and we're still going to fund that because they've become part of our system, part of our. They're one of us, and so we'll continue to do that, and we'll ask the board to continue to approve that cost. But that's over $60,000 that I think is very worthy at a state level. Also, the news for you all too is Christy Bihar, Officer Bihar. She served as a SRO years ago when I was working in the field as a school psych. She's coming back next year, replacing Cody Ziegler at the high school. So super excited. Yeah.
At our chamber ladies event last year.
That's correct.
Phenomenal and very full of wisdom.
Right.
Very kind. So
I think it's good to have a female too, to be honest, to complement, females need that resource as well. So she'll be stationed. She'll be positioned at the high school. Of course, they all help. I mean, they're serving all over the district, to be honest about it. So we're excited to have her join our team.
Very good. Any further questions, Ms. Durkee, on the health and safety issues? Please lead us through the consent agenda items, any items that came to
Yeah.
anybody's attention that we want to discuss.
Yep. There are a couple I want to bring to your attention, and then if there's anything else that you see that you need some conversation. The first one I would say is letter B under item number 19. This is something that Claudia's been talking about quite a bit, and that's the Read a Lot Family Literacy Night. It's actually sponsored. It's not just us, it's across the plains, so other school districts. So that's one that I know you guys were kind of asking what's going on, but that's one that she wanted to put on the board agenda. I would move on to.
Is that a money maker or a money
No,
loser or a
it's
money
service
neutral?
to the community.
It's neutral? I love it.
Yeah, it's just a service, providing the space. Number 29, I also circled. That would be the Every Student Succeeds Act grant funding, recommended by Claudia as well. Not new necessarily, but something I'd highlight. The other one, 32, I circled because it has become clear, brought to our attention that we don't, specific state mandated professional development pieces can be board approved, and we can actually decrease a little bit of the load. So Sean put together a recommendation for topics for training that really boards can decide the frequency. So if he can elaborate, he spent quite a bit of time putting that together, but that's why. As you know, state mandated training can get very lengthy, to be honest, and teachers, even in a virtual setting, can spend over a day going through all the training. So I think it's going to be helpful to have those narrowed a bit. So Sean.
State superintendents across the state were asked by Superintendent Littlefield about the frequency of some of the state mandated training. Some of that training involves things like bloodborne pathogens and
It was nice for someone, to be honest, to bring that to our attention, because they put them out and you just feel like those are annual requirements. And so the State Department did take the time to go through each law and determine what could be narrowed and what could not. So
I'm glad you explained it that way, because I thought we chose the frequency of them, but no.
no, a lot of it's dictated by per state law. So, but some of it's not. So that I thought that was a really great thing to happen this year. It's good. It's good. Item number 34, just
Question right quick.
absolutely.
Oh, never mind, you haven't got down there yet.
Okay. I'm lost track of where I'm at. No, you're good. 34 is just the alt ed allocation acceptance for those 3 schools. So as you know, Mr. Rodert accepts students from other districts that allow us to collect their aid for alternative ed, and then we serve the students. We don't get many. How many did you have this year? 2. So,
Do they
yeah.
have to wear sandbag gear?
Of course they.
do wear sandbag. And we had 2 that applied for transfer going into this year that was previously on the co-op agreement from another district, so.
Cool.
Item 36 I circled as well. It's a little unique, just approval of Mr. Wine's certificate from Tulsa County. I lost my screen, but it basically assures you that he's bonded and you give him the authority to spend public dollars. Because, you know, and he's like, yes, I need to be able to do that. So, I don't know. Anyway, I brought that up. I'm going on to page.
I just want to add one thing too, Mr. Rick. I appreciated the items, I don't know what number, 37, 38, where we're competitively bidding the food sources for next year. I appreciate that. It
Yes.
kind of locks us in and going into the raising prices, that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're getting the best bang for the buck, and I love that.
I agree.
That's wonderful. Thank you,
There
Mr.
are
Snyder, for
so
doing
many
that.
compliances that we just trust our child nutrition department to do. And Ms. Needham has it down to a fine art, I can promise. You can tell she's got some experience behind her, which is great. We talked today about changing the menu, some of the items that seem a little bit like what maybe I ate as a kid. Not saying that I'm old, I'm just saying maybe kids would be interested in something a little different. So she's looking at menu options in
Well,
that.
Did we get away from, did we get away from the Michelle Obama?
Well, you can't fully get away.
Did we
There-
get away from the Michelle Obama menu? Or,
That's law. I can't skirt around that. There's so many regulations with,
sure,
you know, calories and sodium and subgroups and all of the things. But there still are really cool items that we can offer.
Mhm.
I go to 2 food shows a year, to look at what all the manufacturers offer. And so my plan is to do taste testing with the kids, at least 1 taste test at each school, to really get their buy-in and feedback, and then just keep updating menus.
Yeah.
I like it.
And there's a new software this year. Download the My School Menu app. It's very interactive. It'll show pictures, give all the nutritional facts, and if we are shorted on something, I'll update that live so parents will know what their kid is having at lunch that day. And there's options at every single site except ECEC.
Wow.
Love the
so,
option.
so my question to her now can go to you. What other company, milk company out there is there beside, I mean, I just know Highland.
Ever.
I mean, you see it everywhere. I mean, is there, Brahms doesn't offer that, does it?
No, but I've been fighting.
That'd be nice if they did.
2 years, so maybe year 3 or 4 they'll say yes. There's 2 other. There's Dairy Pure and Dairy Max.
Oh, okay.
But neither one of those are based out of Oklahoma.
Mhm.
And when making decisions, I try to keep our state and
Sure.
county taxes. You know, I try to
Sure.
support local. And the price difference
Mhm.
justify going to Missouri to buy milk. But
Right, yeah.
2 other companies.
Okay. Yeah, I've just never seen anything but
I
Highland.
know. I don't either. That's a great question.
And
I
I've never
thought about
seen
it.
Brahms little bitty milk either. so.
I haven't either.
Brahms would be a nice one. Just saying.
That's true. Okay, item 42 is the review and approval of the chronic absenteeism medical exemption request recommended by Sean again. I don't think that's a report card item, right? But we still have to do it. So there's another, I don't know if you want to expand, but
We do it just because, the way that works is it's a medical exemption request. So there are
So what would happen, I see all of the days that he missed, and bless his heart, I looked up the condition that he has, and heartbreaking. But with these, I mean, that's still taking him out of school. So what is he doing to get back on track?
He has that specific situation, he has a medical plan that he's given so many days with each absence that he's allowed to make up his work. And so as long as he keeps track of his work and makes work, he's fine. But it was a well-known thing up front that he would be missing quite a bit because that condition takes him out of pocket.
Right. That's why I was wondering, virtual, would that, could he do that on the days that he's out?
It's like that. I mean, he's given the opportunity to work virtually.
Okay.
But, yeah. So, and there were quite a few.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I highlighted 43. I know we see OSSBA all the time. I circled letter F just so you could see it. I mentioned it before, I believe. They've had this resource for a while. We've just been using our Google Drive because we know it and it's simple. The problem is all of these things have to be posted online and it has to be compliant and accessible. And so Lisa's been working really hard on that, although we have a year extension, I believe. But Assemble is one that OSSBA has that already takes care of that. So it really is in our best interest to subscribe to that. It's not super expensive and it'll be seamless. And so I promise we'll get through it for next year.
We use that at the OSSBA Board of Directors, and it's pretty self-explanatory, very simple.
Right.
If I can do it, I'm sure everybody else will be able to get to it real easy, so.
Yeah. So just wanted to bring that to your attention too. And then of course 45 is the capacity report that Carrie had talked about. So any questions on consent?
I'll make a motion, we accept consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Noggle, second by Whitney. Any further questions or discussion? I call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 46, a public hearing on the proposed district budget for fiscal year 20, I believe I have to read something.
It's, yes.
Sand Springs Public Schools operates under the School Budget Act. We are now required to conduct a public hearing on the budget. Does anyone wish to comment on the budget?
No. Oh, was that for them?
Does anybody?
Oh.
Anybody? Seeing none other than Mr. Noggle, we will close the public hearing and ask the CFO to brief the board on the budget.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of guide you through some high points on the New Year's budget. A lot of these line items, some of them we know pretty close to what that allocation is going to be, but at the end of the day, we have no allocations right now. So every time we do an original budget, it's too early for allocations to have been released. And since we're on the District Budget Act, we're making some assumptions here. So that's why we have, by law, a first revision in September, and then a second one in the winter as well. So I'm going to walk you through some high points. If you got any questions, feel free to stop me. First up is on the general fund. In your notes, I kind of included a quick tip. When you look at property taxes, which are ad valorem dollars, so that's the 1110 and 1120 at the top of the general fund, it's almost better to look at these together rather than separate. Because when we get our estimate of needs back from our auditors, we can tie to that total number within 1%. So every year we can base it on historicals, and usually we will receive 99.5% of whatever that estimate of needs says. So I just included that on your notes as just kind of a quick tip there. We always include a 3% increase in ad valorem revenue until we get that estimate of needs in the fall, and then I revise the budget in September to present you what we feel are going to be actuals for the year. Source code.
Mr. One, just real
Yeah.
quick, the actual and the second revised budget for 24-25 and then 25-26, it shows an increase of about $500,000. Is that because of what you just described, that we estimated
Correct.
low, and then when a statement of needs comes in, then we see what it is, and we can revise it up.
That's right. So
So-
the actuals for 24-25, we estimated 3% for 25-26. And what that increase ended up coming back at was more like upwards of 4.5 or north of 4.5%. So there was more of an increase, but we knew that on the first revision.
Gotcha.
So if you had a column that said first revision for 25-26
there
and
too.
second revision, they would be
Okay.
almost identical.
Okay.
Yep. Source code 1200 is another one worth mentioning. It just says tuition and fees, and I know it's a smaller amount in comparison to the whole general fund budget. But this is where, for us, we contract with Berry Hill next year for them to be paying us for a para serving one of their students. So a lot of times on that tuition and fees, you'll see us contract with another school on that. So a lot of times we're serving some school, and in this case, it's Berry Hill for the upcoming year. The only other note I made on the local sources was 1,500. You see from the left column on actuals all the way over to the original budget, what would look like a pretty significant dip, but the actuals for 24-25, nearly half or maybe more than half of that was in E-rate funding that was received. And E-rate funding is sporadic. I mean, we could receive some in the new year, but it depends on what projects we have and what E-rate funding looks like. So I settled that to be the same as the second revision for the prior fiscal year. The only other thing that I would mention are interest earnings, which is the 1,300. Those have kind of steadily dipped. Of course, we had huge interest amounts, huge, in comparison to prior years, coming out of the pandemic. And so those are starting to settle back, but there's kind of a common consensus that those are going to settle to what they are at least through the end of the calendar year. So I don't expect a bunch of movement there, but definitely we see that start to taper off a little bit. So that's why I've presented to you for approval things like the Oklahoma Liquid Asset Pool, some other opportunities for us to get involved in. Intermediate sources of revenue stay consistent. So those are your 2000 series source codes. They're consistent from budget to budget. There's not a whole lot of variation there. We just kind of include that 3% increase and move forward with that. State sources and federal sources are always the topic of conversation. So if you go down to the state sources, which are your 3000s, the first one I would direct your attention to is 3210, which is state aid. It is expected to increase. I think COSA and OSSBA have told us that the factor is increasing for the new year, which is good, but there's a lot of variables that go into that, like student enrollment. So that's why October count is so important, and then we'll actually get an allocation for that as well as we work into the school year. But that allocation changes, I mean, on like a bi-weekly basis as we get to the end of the year.
We anticipate it being the same, even though the legislature has appropriated a $2,000 raise for all
That's
certified
correct.
teachers.
Yep, that's correct. Now, I believe they appropriated or budgeted based on certified teachers, and we have more certified individuals than just teachers
Right.
in the district.
However, they're going to make us add any certified salary.
That's
It's going to be in the
correct.
salary schedule, which makes sense. So I'm talking things like people like nurses, counselors, all of it. So there is some worry out there that it won't be enough.
Some schools are trying to pull from funds because their belief is that the budgeted amount is not going to be enough to cover those $2,000 increases. I don't think we're going to be in that boat. So that's good news for us.
And that's for fiscal year 27, correct?
That's, yep. 3413 and 3414 are the other two that I would just direct your attention to. These are kind of pushes from the state legislature to, I feel like, monetarily incentivize getting into the teaching profession. Really, the reason I wanted to direct you to these two are because sometimes they will add source codes during the year. So, after the original budget has been presented. And so if you see one of those pop up, I don't want you to be surprised on the first revision. But good things, all in all, from the state side on those two source codes specifically. 3415 is also important to note. This is tied up in the reading scores push. This is the Reading Sufficiency Act. We only have what the increase in that budget is going to be from the state side. And so I actually think it could be more than what we've originally budgeted, but I didn't want to budget too high and then have to come back to you on the first revision. So Claudia and I really appreciate Claudia and all her help, but Claudia and I kind of decided to not split the difference, but make an educated, conservative guess on that line item.
You know, it's double what it was last year?
Their budget is more than double, I believe, correct?
Cool, we'll take it.
So we didn't quite go double, but we went close to double. 3420 is another one that I would direct you to. Though that is our state textbook money. That is the allocation for the new year. However, on the expense side, you might see more of an expense than what that allocation is for, or than what that allocation is, because we've carried over funds while we've waited for them to adopt curriculum. So those state sources of funding, we carry over based on those project numbers. So in Mr. Beard's world, he's got some money that was not spent in the prior years because there was no curriculum to spend it on. So as soon as we get to that point, we'll probably have a good chunk of textbook money just compared to that allocation or that guesstimate.
If you think about the deep dive we could take in the State Department of Ed over the past couple of years, and then the social studies standards kind of coming back center, it's just been a mess. So I feel like we're on the road to, at least today. I'm going to just say out loud, elections do have consequences in our world directly. And so stability is meaningful. And so I think we all need to be thinking about that as we enter into June.
And there is that is allowable. You can carry
Sure.
over those state earmarked funds. We just record it within our software, report it to OCAS, and move on.
If we were in a rhythm, as you know, the I took my glasses off, $20,000 that we've allocated wouldn't be near enough to pay for an adoption year, which is why when we consider being really thankful for the public that vote our bond elections, that's how we compensate for the rest of the money we need to provide textbooks. So something to be cognitive of for sure.
I would assume this year too, we're going to buy textbooks, which we haven't purchased in a while because of the class that's not going to have Chromebooks to take home.
So that's a great question. At the high school, they will have Chromebooks to take home. We're not deleting that. We're talking through, and I really don't know if we've landed on a decision fully at Clyde Boyd Middle School. Elementary never really have taken theirs home.
Right.
At Clyde Boyd, I think we because it's such a shift, I think we landed, and Cindy's in the office back there probably, but a class at a time. So we're starting with 6th graders this year to transition to classroom sets of Chromebooks versus having a one-to-one kind of, she poking her head up. There you go. Instead of having a one-to-one. I don't know if Cindy, you want to add to that at all, that conversation?
So yes, the plan is for 6th grade, because I had enough carts and Chromebooks to accommodate that. Otherwise, we would have been a little short, and it's going to be very expensive. So we'll be starting with the 6th grade.
And honestly, it won't have as huge of an impact as you're thinking on curriculum, because even before we went full one-to-one at those grades, we were purchasing curriculum, class sets of print textbooks with access to digital as well.
Okay.
So it shouldn't impact them really adversely, but it is going to create a shift that we'll be able to transition through over the next 3 years.
Right. Right.
Okay, so moving on to federal
Sorry.
sources of revenue. I think the most notable source code here is tied up in Title I. So if you look at 4210, you see a dip from actuals and our second revised budget last year to this year. And we did see an initial cut to some of our Title I funding for the new year. If that changes, I'll put it on a revision, but that is the biggest topic of conversation, I feel like, on the federal sources of revenue. I also put that 4689 is our school-based family specialists are tied up in here. And so that is our agreement with DHS where they reimburse us 80%, and the school is responsible for 20%. And Winter and Aubriana have been fantastic for the district. I also put just a reminder that these federal dollars, when we're talking about carryover, are able to be pulled out of our carryover percentage because they're on a claims basis. So our, last quarter of expenses, we won't receive until the new fiscal year because we have to get through June 30th to be able to submit the claims. And so that's why they're able to be pulled out of that percentage. So when auditors come out and tell you that we, have a 23% carryover, there's kind of an asterisk on that, right? Before we take out the federal funds. So,
Makes sense.
yep. The only other thing I would note is that carryover, I put it at 9.75 million for the time being. We had a one-time expense this year for high school furniture, which is going to be great. I actually think we'll probably settle closer in between, somewhere between that number and the normal 10 million, which is always the goal. The money you receive is the money that's spent, and you have some kind of a nest in case things go wrong mid-year.
Right.
Basically, if the State Department pulls back funding, which
Which
we've
has
had happen in
happened.
the past.
That has happened.
All right, if there are any questions, we'll move on to expenses.
Please.
So general fund expenses, the bulk of my notes was in the revenue. Expenses are kind of a look at where we're at, historically right now for the prior year actuals, the second revised budget, and then kind of where we're at right now. The biggest one that is worth mentioning is probably instruction at the top, Code 1000. That is where you see that $2,000 step raise go into effect. Some of these are increased for authority to spend, and I included a note in there to just say, like, we cannot spend more than the board approves. And schools that are on the estimate of needs operate the same way. Their estimate of needs is just given to them by their auditors, where we develop our budget from scratch. So either way, we can't spend more than you all approve, so it gives us some flexibility as we go throughout the year. The best way to read expenses is probably from left to right as you're looking at actuals, second revision, and original budget, and really it's probably going down to the bold codes to kind of work your way from left to right. These are estimates. They're never intended to be like quote-unquote cuts of any kind. It's just where we're at now, where we were last year, and where we estimate we'll be in the new year. This will adjust as we move through the year as well.
I'm kind of slow, Cassidy.
Yeah.
I'm still not caught up on the instruction piece. And if the second budget for last year was 29 million,
Correct.
this year's 28,250, but you've added $2,000 per person.
Yeah, so the second revision is always going to be fluffed, versus the original and first revised budget.
Okay.
Because we can have more budget revisions, but I usually increase it to an amount that we don't anticipate spending,
Okay.
but that gives us the flexibility to shuffle funds. And what I mean by that is, like, if a project needs more money to be pushed into it, because we budget by project, then I need something in
A holding place.
a holding place to be able to move that, because when it gets into state and federal dollars, I'm not touching those because they are carried over from year to year.
Okay.
And they're dictated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look at that bottom line on the second revision, at the very bottom, you see like 48.75. We will not spend 48.75. The goal is to break even like any other year, but it's to give flexibility to not have to have a third budget revision.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
The other thing that happens, I think, and I think he does a great job because we almost matched. I don't know how far off you were from last year.
$1,200.
$1,200. That's phenomenal in a $47 million budget. But expenses come out up at the end, like substitutes that you can't forecast. And so you pay them because they work for you, but you don't have it encumbered at the beginning of the year because you have no idea what that's going to look like. So there's that flexibility as well.
Yeah, when we ended the year, we were $1,200 between revenue and expenses on a $47 million budget. We have what's called prior year lapsed appropriations, right? Which are POs that we plan to use, but then we're closed out and we have to move that money forward. Those were in the neighborhood of, I think, $150,000 on a $47 million budget. So at the end of the day, we were well under a percentage, off of money in, money out.
We'll try to do better this year.
Let's say set the bar pretty high.
I-
Come on now.
Yeah,
Well,
That's what I told him. That's
I will
ridiculous.
say that when I presented that at the end of last year, I said no promises because $1,200 is really close to breaking even.
So good.
So if you see like 100,000, there's no
He
blame
needs some
here. Mr.
kudos
Noggle.
too, because that has not always been the case. And so he's done a really great job, because then predictability is solid and you can make decision based on what the predictions are, because they're good ones. So kudos to Cass.
Great job, Cass.
We're tracking it live. Like May and June, we're tracking pennies because it matters. I mean, our carryover percentage matters. Also optimizing what we have like in that bucket in case something went wrong. I've said this before, but you see a $10 million carryover and you think we have a ton of money until you realize that payroll is $2.5 million every month that it goes out.
Right.
And so it's truly a nest.
Money well spent.
And some of it is tied up in state and federal that
Right.
we can't move anyway. So, other than that, though, as you work your way from top to bottom on the expenditures, these are best guesses. But it also gives us initial authority to spend and start with a budget. So, all right.
Please
We'll
continue.
move on to co-op. So co-op is our cooperative agreement with some other districts, which I think was on the board agenda, item 34, with those three districts. This is our alternative ed fund. So basically pooled resources allowed by the state. There's not a lot of different movement from actual to second revised to original on the revenues, nor on the expenses. The main piece that I would guide you to is at the very bottom on expenditures, 2,300 and 2,400 were just flipped. And I noted that, I think I mentioned that on the very first budget I presented. So you see an actual column that has a larger, like $121,000, and then you see it switch to the 2,400 series. That's just a difference in coding. A lot of times more than one coding works. And so we'll move forward with that 2,400 coding, but everything else kind of settles to the same on the co-op fund. It's not as much to talk about on co-op as general fund. All right, on to building fund. So on building fund, this is one of the funds with the most movement in the past couple of years. Some of that has been the Father's Day windstorm when I first got here. Others have been the city contribution to our administrative building. And then what you'll see, which Ms. Durkee kind of briefed you about earlier on tonight, was that the TIA was not approved when I prepared this budget. So those pre-pilot payments, you all had not voted on that by the time I had to have this to the Tulsa World for publishing. So I didn't include it here, but I will tell you exactly where it's going to be. If you look up at the revenue on 1600, where it says other local sources of revenue, and you see our actual from 24-25 of $1,900.90, and then our second revised budget of the same $1,990, that will be where that 500,000 will come into play on that first revision. So just wanted to add some context to where that might land. Other than that, our main sources are Redbud and ad valorem dollars.
Is Redbud 3,000?
Redbud is 3,000, and we usually don't have an allocation on that until we hit the second revised budget. So the first revision, I will still have the 1.4 million because we just don't know.
Sure.
So
You also don't collect that until, usually in 2 payments, but the last one comes late.
like we have
June.
not received our second payment.
Right.
So
So-
we have 29 days left to get that second payment, but it's usually at the end of June.
Is it the first one in October?
I
that
think
what
it's
I
closer to
remember?
January,
January.
isn't it?
January?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most exciting part of the building fund budget is we were able to do a lot of cool things this year. The annex was one of them, the remodel, and you see on the 6,000 source code at the top on those revenues, you see that we've sustained carryover from last year to this year. So we still have that pocket, especially with our bond projects rolling off. That's a great thing.
It's a great thing. That's been a lot, and I've said that a million times. We bit off 3 in a 2-year span, a little over. It was a lot of work, and I feel a little bit bad because this summer there's a lot of moving parts, and Chris is going to be super busy with just movement of furniture and such, but worth it. We visited the annex. I didn't put a picture. I probably should have, but they have the bathrooms are getting there. They're going to be much like what you see with LD Kearns and Ethos doing in our middle school and the freshman academy. It's golden. I mean, it looks so good. Such an upgrade. So, and they're saying August before school starts. That's going to be done as well. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, on the expense side, you see some variability between the budgets, actual, second revised, and original for the new year. A lot of this is that movement to shift some of those utilities and property insurance. So you see that on the 2600 line, where we have not had much on the actual. We had a little bit more on the second revised because we did end up taking some utilities out of building fund, and then we increased it pretty significantly on this New Year's budget to kind of create some flexibility in general fund. Also very exciting. And then some of the other ones decreased significantly because, like our building agreement with CAP and TCC, those TCC payments decreased significantly for the life of that agreement. So where we had, a balloon payment that I think was $20-something thousand last July,
Correct.
we have $120 that we owe this year, and $120 we owe next year and the year after. And
Until
yeah, I probably have to give the
2049
kudos
or
to Mr.
something.
Watts on that. I'm sure he was involved with
right.
that agreement as well.
Our attorneys are working with CAP attorneys right now. What you're not seeing yet on the board agenda is operating agreement between us and CAP, because there's some conversations going on about that. We typically don't have that until July anyway, so we're in the middle of just finalizing, because we are at this point where we're not making those big balloon payments anymore, and we need to make sure we have clarity going forward. So just know that's coming down the pike.
All right. If there are no questions on building fund, then we'll move on to child nutrition. So for child nutrition, 1710 is student lunches. That's probably the biggest change in the entire budget, because when you look at actuals for 25, that was the CEP that we were doing that year, and then that increases from there. Everything else has kind of settled to a normal routine the past couple of years, but we have tried to make an intentional effort on lessening that carryover amount. In the past, I still think it still is a 3-month operating balance that you can carry over, but there was a lot of flexibility. If you exceeded it, they sent you a paper, you selected one of the 3 options, and you could always carry it forward. They've tightened up on those rules a little bit, and so you might see some one-time expenses, and the reasoning for having more expenses than new revenue for this page as well. So a good intentional effort at decreasing that over the last few years. I would also add that I told Ms. Neidham that I would prep this budget. She didn't have to worry about it, and she said, I'll have it to you within the hour. And within 30 minutes, her and Ms. Mackey sat down, kind of took my original budget, made notes, and she was over in my office. She's been fantastic.
Great job.
Fantastic. So especially with the first go-around at a budget, because I knew this would be the first go-around, she's been nothing but a huge asset to our leadership team. So everything else on the child nutrition budget is our estimates, and we still look to sustain a pretty healthy carryover there, which is good.
You don't think we'll go back to 2024, 2025, where the student lunch is only $2,000?
I mean, I would love for us to,
Be nice, wouldn't
to do
It would
that,
be.
but it's not feasible
Not gonna
when
happen.
you're burning through that much carryover. Yeah. We tried it for a year, but, man, that was,
That's hard.
I only want to have to tell you one time that we might cut into $500,000 of our carryover. I don't really want to do that more than once, so. All right, on to bond funds.
Sweet.
So bond funds have the most variability because I don't have exact numbers for Mr. Robinson. And so I'm going to get with him for the revision. Some of this was a timing element in 24-25 as well. When we received those funds, they were in July, so they all got lumped into carryover and not the original bond sale. And so you see that increase. I'm thinking that our prior year balance forward is going to be pretty close, but that proceeds from original sale of bonds will have the most change to it from this one to the first revision. So we'll nail that down a little bit more, but as we, accelerate some bonds or stay to the same schedule, that can change. Everything on the expense side is kind of an estimate or a fluff for authority to spend based on what we have in our bond funds. So that number at the bottom right, the 7.5, is really close to what we have in actual for the new year. But a chunk of our GO bonds goes to a payment for our lease revenue bonds. And so not all of that is spendable cash for bond projects. Some of it is debt service. All right, on to sinking fund. Sinking fund is probably the most boring of all the funds because it's just the debt service fund. So the money we receive in sinking fund goes to pay debt for bond funds. So the main number you want to look at here is at the bottom right. We will be able to tie really close to that once we receive our estimate of needs from auditors. So I think it'll probably be closer to the 7.3 that we had on the second revision or this current fiscal year. But it gives us a starting point, and when the bulk of our payments are not until the spring, we have time to revise that. So not much else to say on the sinking
And
fund.
Cassie, our pilot program funds will not be able to put them against this debt service.
Correct. They will go into the building
Building
fund
fund.
on source code 1600.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only debt payments we pay are out of our GO bonds for our lease revenue bonds,
Right.
and out of our sinking fund, for our GO bonds. So,
Okay.
and we're not the only district that does that.
No, not at all.
All right, on to the last page of the budget. Gift fund and insurance. So gift fund, our primary focus here this past year was to kind of spend down some of our gift fund, and the vast majority of that was not in earmarked funds. I think we do a really good job of spending those donations that we receive. These are in unearmarked, like tribal tag money that we receive. And so up to this point, we've encumbered a little over $500,000 in gift fund. And if you remember, the reason for our push to do this was because the state legislature changed the carryover penalty to include gift fund in it. So we didn't just have the general fund that we were trying to figure that percentage on, we had the gift fund as well included in there. There were some bills floating around this year to remove that, and that never transpired, so. And then insurance fund, the only thing I had on this was that while we put a number on it, and we usually put a couple $100,000, we've only received $5,000 in this fund this year, which is good. That's a good thing.
Let's knock
We
on
don't want our
something.
insurance fund
Yeah.
to be huge. And so it's been I'm gonna knock on wood somewhere, but it's been a relatively calm year in the insurance fund.
Questions for Cassidy?
Oh, great
You
job.
did that too quick, buddy. That's good. I like it. Very thorough.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Cassidy? Mr. Wyan, rather?
I make a motion to approve the budget for the 26-27 fiscal year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget. Any further discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 48, any desire for an executive session to discuss temporary teacher recommendations? Seeing none, I'll go to item number 49 and entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the temporary teacher recommendations for 26-27 school year as listed. Any questions? Call for vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 50, any desire to go to an executive session to talk about the other two workers? Seeing none, we'll go to item number 51, entertain a motion.
I'll make a, I'll second.
Got a motion, Ms. Hanlon, second by Ms. Wagers. Further questions? Call for vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 52, proposed
are-
approval of revised policies to add the district policy manual number season ticket plan and a wellness plan. Ms. Durkee, can you walk us through those, please?
Absolutely. So the season ticket plan changes every year. Beth brought it to our attention that that does change, and so we need to revise it every year. So that's the reason all of that's marked out in red. Nutrition guidelines was reviewed by Ms. Needham, I believe, and some small, but important revisions were made in that policy as well.
And these are not a first read, these are a final.
These are to
motion
approve.
to
Yeah.
approve.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why? Why do we continue to do the same thing we've been doing with this football stadium for the at least 13 and a half years I've been on the school board? We get a handful of people
Yeah.
in the middle. Why do we don't do anything to change?
Yeah.
We have not changed
Yeah.
anything to try to get more people in there.
Yeah, I know. We need to have a discussion point with Rod just because they're not sitting in there, and you're right about that. Certainly,
For at least the last 10 years, I've heard the same thing from a superintendent.
yeah,
The same thing. We're talking about it. We're talking about it.
right,
Nothing gets done.
yeah.
So why are we still talking about it? Let's do something about it.
We'll have a
What's an
discussion.
idea you got?
Open it up. First come, first serve. Let the people that come early and want to be there early sit in the seats. It's not, we're losing money. Because people want to sit in there and, well, they could be sitting in there and it would look better than having the sections beside the middle sections totally full. Go to a football game, totally full. In the middle, you got a scattering of people.
Understand.
Yeah.
So
point
I
taken.
mean,
Yeah.
who are we trying
Maybe,
to
maybe Ms.
reward?
Durkee, we could have Mr. Noggle get with Mr. Sit and see if there's any
Yeah,
opportunities.
I mean, I don't mind having that conversation too. It's just,
I mean, let's make it look nice.
right.
I mean, we have TV cameras, we have a state championship team. And you can't fill up the middle because, I mean, it's $5 extra that you're trying to charge people to sit in that middle.
Right, right. Right, we'll have that conversation. We're not married to this right now. You can not approve that piece of the suggestion, and we can come back next month if it's early.
I say we table this.
Table it? Okay.
My opinion.
I don't mind tabling it.
So seeing no motion, and let's just separate these into two. We'll do 52A. Is it a desire to have a motion to approve the revised season ticket plan? Seeing none, we will table that. And Ms. Durkee, we maybe get with Rod and
Absolutely.
and have
Yep,
maybe
absolutely.
Mr. Noggle sit in on that and see if we can
Sure.
come up with a plan.
Rod and I can go ride bicycles and we'll discuss it on the ride.
My only thing that I would like to just add to what you said, I can't disagree with it, but there are some people that would desire to pay extra to get to sit in the middle and have a reserved seat each time. So maybe we can't fill the whole thing up, but maybe we can fill half of the reserved seats up with reserved seats.
Or narrow the reserve section.
And then maybe
is
make
that
the
what you're thinking?
second half,
Yeah.
the first come, first
Well,
served.
yeah, or open up the window for a certain amount of time.
Sure.
That's what I was gonna say.
There's
Just open
opportunities
up the
there,
window
so.
and say, hey,
Right.
from here to here, you can buy reserved seats at this cost. And I'm telling you, just make it the same cost. as-
Yeah, I'm just
as-
thinking, my mind's going, so I'm thinking through, yeah, I hear you.
I just
will
look at our,
add
go ahead.
that, there are people that have the reserved seats that do not sit there because they want to sit with their friends or
Right.
their family. So it's not being utilized because they want to sit with somebody that does not have
And I don't know those numbers at all. Like, I couldn't even start to tell you how many that we sell compared to those that shift. I just don't know. But I can do the research.
My one concern is, I said at the basketball games as well, and if you don't get there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not gonna get one of those good seats.
Right.
And so I don't want the football team to have that same opportunity, because people come early and save seats or whatever because they want to sit in the middle. Whereas some people that want to maybe have a reserve seat can come in
Right,
and have their
and
reserve
I'm not
seat.
saying we don't sell
Sure.
reserve seats. I'm
Right.
just saying.
Narrow it.
Fill it up.
Open the
Yeah.
window
Let's
up
fill it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and charge the same amount of money. It's $10 or
Cool.
whatever the price we decide for general admission.
Cool.
Just charge them that
So
much.
that wouldn't change the price point. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I'm
Correct.
saying
get
yes.
Good.
You want to change the price point too.
Yes, I
Okay.
want to make it all the same. Now, but just like Mr. Mullins was saying, let's have some type of window to where
Yeah.
you can buy a reserved seat. Now, there's gonna be some, you're in my seat.
Right. But
I
if,
understand that.
yeah.
But
you wouldn't charge more for the opportunity to buy them early for a
No.
reserve seat?
No.
So
Just make
then,
them up higher.
well, right, but I'm just saying, why would I buy them early then? If they're gonna be the same cost, you see what I'm saying?
Well, but because
what
it
I-
would
but-
be
but what
a
I'm saying is
reserved.
The early purchase is a
You get a
reserved
choice,
seat,
is what you're saying.
is a
Yes.
reserved seat.
Okay,
After that,
I gotcha.
You
it's
said,
general admission.
Yeah,
And like I said, at first, you're gonna get some, and you might get some, hey, you're in my seat.
yeah, for sure.
I have my ticket, you're in my seat.
Right.
Okay, I'll move.
I'm pretty sure I sit in somebody's seat every single time I sit in the reserved section.
too.
Yeah, because
Well, I
you
can-
guys
I
are
can tell you
provided
right
it,
now,
yeah,
every football game I've gone to,
yeah,
since I've been on the school board, I have not sit in the seat that has my.
right, correct,
Yeah.
me
Because I
either.
look up there and I go, oh, I'm gonna be by myself, and I'm gonna sit right there.
Right,
And I go up there and I
exactly.
sit there and I be
Yeah.
myself, so.
Same,
Mr. Dickey, maybe we have Mr. sit and also inquire of surrounding districts
Yes.
as to what they do, because obviously we're doing something that we can do different, we can do better, so. And if Mr. Noggle and Mr. Sit can get together, maybe Mr. Durkey, you with them to come up with a
okay,
plan.
we'll figure it out,
So, cool,
yep, not worried.
very good.
Thank you.
Moving to item number 52B, I would entertain a motion to approve the wellness policy as written.
I'll make a motion to approve item B under
Second.
52.
Got a motion, Ms. Wagers, and a second by Mr. Noggle. Is there any further discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 33.
53.
I'm going to go back to the thing. We did the evaluation of Ms. Durkey last month,
We did,
and now this is just a written contract, so I would entertain a motion. And you all had the opportunity to read that. I believe it's what we agreed to when we had that discussion with her, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the contract for Ms. Durkey. Ms. Durkey, thank you for being our superintendent for
course.
3 more
Amazing.
years,
thank
I'll
you.
make that motion.
at least. We have a motion
Thank you very
by
much.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Noggle, a second by Ms. Hanlon. Any further discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item
Thank you.
54, the proposed approval of resolution of the Sand Springs Public Schools to join the Oklahoma Schools Insurance Group for 26-27.
Because it's a group, we have to join the group. It's,
Okay.
as you know, I sit on that board. That was a revelation we had about 5 years ago. We've been doing that item as just perfunctory, but we always put it alongside the property insurance quote,
Okay.
which is the next item.
Is it the cool group? I mean, I wanna be a part of the.
I don't know if it's a
I
cool
think it's
group
the
or
only
not.
group.
Oh.
It's about the only one. Yeah, I don't know if it's cool or not, but,
I'd entertain a motion
Only
to
group.
join OSIG.
right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Hanlon, a second by Mr. Noggle.
I think I beat her
You did?
by
Okay.
the nose.
Any questions? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 55, now here comes the money part. Ms. Durkey, it says that 541 school districts belong to OSIG. I thought there were some larger districts that were not members.
In some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So they may have only liability or only vehicles.
Okay.
So portions of it, and there's some larger districts that we don't carry the risk with,
I got you.
but most of them have some sort.
Looks like 'cause some of the big districts, they could have a major loss and it would upset
That's
OSIG
correct.
drastically. so.
Absolutely. Which has happened. We've had some that have been pretty drastic, and they don't even have to be a large district. You have a tornado that hits a school district, and I do think we got by with the Enid tornado and came out unscathed as a group. But you get those big ones, and it really doesn't matter how big they are. If it gets their high school, you're going to be out a big claim.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciated you showing the summary of the past 5 years of what we pay for insurance and just see the cost has gone up tremendously, even though this last year it went
Right.
down slightly.
Right.
But pay a
Well,
lot of money for insurance.
property insurance is a thing, not just with schools, but in the state of Oklahoma with homes too. We're a high-risk area. I'm not justifying a cost, I'm just saying it's what it is. And we're in a place where I feel like we've just now come to a place where we're assessing the value of our property appropriately, because they weren't doing that. Counties are now assessing every 5 years as well, so you're probably seeing a little bit of a rise in your property taxes. I think we all don't like it, because since I've been superintendent, it has almost more than tripled, maybe? It was a little under 400,000, so about tripled in cost in the last 10 years,
Right.
which is terrible. So, but you can't go without it.
We have to have it.
Yeah.
We have to have it. Did we get a motion on this one? I've forgotten.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you get those? Any questions? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 56, proposed approval to open a pre-purchased account with American Heritage Bank in connection with our current activity fund account as recommended by Mr. Wine.
Yeah, that's mine. So we already have a repurchase account with all of our other funds except activity fund. And at the end of the day, we just have our regular checking account with all of our activity funds. So we're losing money by not having the repurchase account. It's a higher interest-bearing account, and it automatically sweeps it back and forth. So you set a minimum, maybe 5,000 or something, and so as soon as it goes in the quote-unquote red, they sweep money from the repurchase account, and then any deposits we get in that exceed that $5,000 balance, they sweep it back into the repurchase account. So we're just leaving interest revenue on the table, so.
Sounds good.
Entertain a motion
I'll make it.
I'll second.
by Mr. Noggle, second by Ms. Wagers. Any questions? Thank you for explaining that to us. Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 57, and we probably need 57, 58 separately, Ms.
Well, you
Durkee?
vote on them separately. They
Okay.
say the same, they're similar. There's a resolution that will be reflected in the minutes when that's completed.
Okay.
But the big difference from last year to this year is the pickup contribution for teacher retirement. We're recommending 3% instead of 2%.
The two.
Yep, for our
Big
teachers.
deal. And for the for the administrators, that's full,
Full,
which is more like 7?
7.5
So-
actually, yeah.
And I was just curious, I asked Mr. Wine, what does that cost us? And he said $250,000, approximately, I mean, plus or minus.
Right at, yeah, 250 to 275. It's expensive.
So it's, I appreciate the opportunity to do this.
I agree.
I'm very thankful that we have the resources that we can help out the teachers in this. Can't give them a whole lot, but this is a
Right.
carrot.
I
love
think paired with stipends we've been able to do the last couple of years of 5% is a pretty sweet place to be. We also want to rise to and try to get to regional average with our average teacher salary and the stipend and all of the total package. We aren't quite as blessed with NAV as I gripe about all the time with some of our neighbors, which is just how it is in Sand Springs. But I think with the accessing the funds that we have available in the future will help us get to a place where we need to be, which I'm very excited about. So as you know, those pilot agreements are not going to stay at 500,000. They're going to go up to 2.5 million until we get the first pilot payment, and then makes it a lot easier to be able to do some things that we need to do to compete.
Both of these items will need to be done each year.
Correct.
They're not
Yes.
roll over and stuff like that.
That
They
would
need
be
to done
correct.
Each year, so,
Yes.
cool. Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll go with item number, is it 56? I'm sorry, 57 is the first one. I'd entertain a motion to consider the school district paying for an employer pickup contribution to teachers' retirement system for administrators.
I'll make that motion.
By Ms. Hanlon
I will second.
and a second by Ms. Wagers. Any further questions? Call for vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
All right,
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins,
Aye. Item number 58, motion to consider the school district paying an employer pickup contribution teachers retirement system for teachers, which is, would take it from a 2% contribution to a 3% contribution.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Wagers, a second by Ms. Hanlon. Is there further discussion? Call for vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
all right.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins,
Aye. Item number 59, proposed approval of renewal quote for workers' compensation insurance with Oklahoma School Assurance Group, OSAG, for 26-27, what you referred to earlier, was it not, Cassidy?
I don't think I referred to it in the budget.
Okay.
OSIG was what I referred to in the budget, which is
And
our
OLAP,
property.
you referred to OLAP.
Or
as well.
OLAP,
There's way
yeah.
too many acronyms.
Yeah, OLAP, way different, yep.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the renewal quote for workers' compensation.
Second.
Got a motion, Ms. Wagers, second, Mr. Noggle. Any questions? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
All right.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins,
Aye. Item 60, any matters that could not be thought of? I'll just say one thing. I appreciate Miss Arnold. And I saw a resignation letter from Miss Arnold, and my heart stopped beating until I read it and realized that it's a year from today. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for giving us a heads up that far in advance. I'm not sure that I've ever seen that before. So it gives Miss Durkee
gonna
and
say
the
sooner,
administration an
yeah.
opportunity to see what we can do. You're irreplaceable, but there is somebody that can come in and we can teach them what you do.
She
So
walked into
thank you.
SSEA and they told her they were not going to let her do it. I don't think you can stop.
I
I,
agree.
I wanted to vote no on it, but then I saw the date on it, so I thought, okay, that wouldn't do any
Yeah.
good. But
I'm excited for you. In 1 year, you can be a full-time GG.
understand. Some people can retire and come back to work just 1 or 2 days a week like this. I've been doing that for 50 years
Well.
now. So,
I'd like to say something.
Sure.
Before we get done. I wanted to bring it up at the end of the year meeting, but the time I just didn't get a chance to go up there and talk. But, Ms. Jackson, I was talking to Mr. Sitton, when we had the Google meeting, and he was expressing that he wanted to make his department, this athletic department, a destination place that kids want to come. And that got me to thinking is that I'd like for all of our teachers to think that. I'd like all of our teachers to think, I want the best history department. I want the best English department. And over the summer, I'd like for everybody to think about how they can do that, how they can make Sand Springs. And evidently, we're doing a good job already because we're getting transfers in that are coming in from other places. But yeah, let's just as a district, and we're going to have the resources to do that. You know, we're going to have the money that's coming in that Sand Springs has never seen before, that we can have the best. You know, let's knock Broken Arrow off the band. You know, let's knock them off the top of and let's put Sand Springs in there. And I think we can do it if we just put our minds to it, collaborate with each other. I think we can have the best English department, the best history, the best tech programs.
I agree with you.
STEAM.
But here,
I agree with you. I want to be careful in what we have to remember, I think, as a governing body, is that everybody has something that's important to them. For me, it's about the education of our kids, like making sure they're able to attain so that when they leave Charles Page High School and go across the stage, they can be successful and sustain. And so I'm glad you said that because everybody wants a piece of whatever, and we've got to be cognitive of it's everybody.
but if we can get all of our teachers
Yeah, I agree.
to think one thing,
Right.
and that's what makes this board so successful, is that all 5 of us on this board think of one thing, and that's it, kids first.
Right.
If they will think that way and not think about what I can get personally out of this, and if they can just think about how this board, how we operate, and just go one thing, kids first.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Doesn't matter what your political
Right.
agenda is. It doesn't matter what you think about you sit back and you think, what can I do for the kids?
Right.
And
agree.
you know what? We'll be the best.
I do think that's one thing from a teaching standpoint they do best. I remember when I first started in this role, the very first T-shirt you guys as a unit had was Kids First. I mean, that was their motto.
Yes.
And I think it's what
She's
we
wearing it
it's
now.
probably wearing it.
There you
There you
go.
go. She's wearing it right now.
I'm blind, I can't see it.
Yeah, I know, me too. I hear you. But I think that's been our motto, which is why we promote our special education department. It doesn't matter where you're at on any kind of Likert scale. I kind of went on a rant about people saying kids can't read. It drives me insane. Stop saying they can't read, because we're all somewhere on this big continuum called the ability to read. But that's applicable to everything we do, whether it's drama, band, debate, football, maintenance. It doesn't matter. But we all should be achieving to the extent that we can. And
Right.
so I think that's been our mantra forever. So I do appreciate.
And I personally think that the better we are as a group,
Right.
the more it will go out into the community.
Agree.
And, you know, when we see parents that aren't as involved in their kids as they should be, but they see someone else that, oh, you know, Mr. So-and-so down the street, he's reading with his kid,
Right.
you know, and his kid's excelling, maybe I should be doing that,
Right.
you know, and we can learn as a community to embrace each other and help each other.
I agree.
And then we can get the parents doing what the parents should be doing,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
then the teachers can get back to teaching.
Right. I agree.
So,
What's interesting about that whole thing is I think the biggest example that I can think of as you say that is Page Academy's graduation, because we graduated 42 kids that might not have otherwise had that opportunity. So just the gamut. The best need to be the best, and we need to be pumping up the rest that need some attention.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
thank you for giving me that
I
time.
appreciate what you said, and the item that I'm gonna pick up on that you said that I really like was, if we can keep kids first. Unfortunately, in this political climate, education has become a pawn in the political process, and that's not fair.
No.
Because education's doing a pretty good job, and I don't, if the politicians would remember what you just said of keeping the kids first and keeping the politics out of the education world, we'd be much better off.
Sure.
On that, I'll just say, there's an election coming up, and don't have to tell this group, the 16th of this month. Please get out and vote. I know you're talking to all your teacher buddies and stuff like that. If the education community gets out and vote, we can make a world of difference.
It matters. And
I
it's,
will- yeah.
it's aside from politics too, by the way. Like
Right.
that's irrelevant in this realm.
It should be.
We also have a meet and greet tomorrow night with the chamber at Hill Spring Church, and there will be several candidates there that are running. So I encourage you to, and it's free and it's come and go. It's from 5 to 7. And we encourage everybody that has questions to come and ask those questions. This is the time to do it, and it's free. So
Unfortunately, the state superintendent candidates are in Norman at a Channel 6 and Channel 9 debate. So,
Yeah.
anyway, any
I
other
think they knew
announcements?
that too. I think there were 2 listed on, I think there's 2 going, 1, okay.
Any other announcements that we
Not
missed?
that I can think of.
I'm gonna one more time because I like this soccer. Anyways, the kids that got the All-State, it's June 4th, Thursday, at Catoosa High School. Girls play, which we have Sophia Hart, which she wasn't here tonight to get her award. She is our goalie, and she's amazing. Anyways, girls are at 6 o'clock, and boys are at 8 o'clock.
Isn't she like a national merit
Yes,
scholar
she
as
is.
well?
She is.
So, isn't that amazing?
You can be multi-talented.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Some of us can.
Wow.
Item number 62, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
How'd you get out of that?
Blaze.
He's done talking.
For a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye, thank you all.